Okay, thanks, sir. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayi Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Pradayantasto Hyabhadrani Vidonoti Suhritsatam Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31, by Narada instructs the Prachetas, texts 5, 6, and 7. Text number 5. Prachetasa Uchu Swagatam Te Shurarshedya Dishtyano Darshanam Gata Tavachankramanam Brahman Abhyaya Yatarave. Prachetasa Uchu Swagatam te surarshedya deshtyano darshanam gata tabachankramanam brahman abhyaya yatarave. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. All the Prachetas began to address the great sage Narada. O great sage, O Brahmana, we hope you met with no disturbances while coming here. It is due to our great fortune that we are now able to see you. By the traveling of the sun, people are relieved from the fear of darkness of night, a fear brought about by thieves and rogues. Similarly, your traveling is like the sun's, for you drive away all kinds of fear. Purport. Because of the night's darkness, everyone is afraid of rogues and thieves, especially in great cities. People are often afraid to go out on the streets. And we understand that even in a great city like New York, people do not like to go out at night. More or less, when it is night, everyone is afraid, either in the city or in the village. However, as soon as the sun rises, everyone is relieved. Similarly, this material world is dark by nature. Everyone is afraid of danger at every moment. But when one sees a devotee like Narada, all fear is relieved. Just as the sun disperses darkness, the appearance of a great sage like Narada disperses ignorance. When one meets Narada or his representative, a spiritual master, one is freed from all anxiety brought about by ignorance. Text 6. Yad adishtam bhagavata sivena dokshajena cha tadgriheshu prasaktanam prayasha prayasha kshapitam prabho. Yad adishtam bhagavata shivena dokshajena cha tadgriheshu prasaktanam prayasha kshapitam prabho. Translation. O Master, may we inform you that because of our being overly attached to family affairs, we almost forgot the instructions we received from Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Purport. Remaining in family life is a kind of concession for sense enjoyment. One should know that sense enjoyment is not required, but one has to accept sense enjoyment inasmuch as one has to live. As confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 1-10, Kamasya Nendriya Priti, one has to become a Goswami and control his senses. One should not simply use his senses for sense gratification. Rather, the senses should be employed just as much as required for maintaining body and soul together. Srila Rupa Goswami recommends, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatharham Upayunjataha. One should not be attached to sense objects, but should accept sense enjoyment as much as required. No more. If one wishes to enjoy the senses more than required, he becomes attached to family life, which means bondage. All the Prachetas admitted their fault in remaining in household life. Text 7. Tanna pradyotayadhyatma jnanam tattvartha darshanam enanjasa tarishyamo dushtaram bhavasagaram. Tanna pradyotayadhyatma Jnanam Tattvartha Darshanam. yenanjasa tarishyamo dushtaram bhavasagaram. Translation: Dear Master, kindly enlighten us in transcendental knowledge, which may act as a torchlight by which we may cross the darkness of material existence. The Prachedas purport. The Prachedas requested Narada to enlighten them in transcendental knowledge. Generally, when a common man meets a saintly person, he wishes to get some material benediction. However, the Prachetas were not interested in material benefit, for they had enjoyed all this sufficiently, nor did they want the fulfillment of their material desires. They were simply interested in crossing the ocean of nescience. Everyone should be interested in getting out of these material clutches. Everyone should approach a saintly person in order to be enlightened in this connection. One should not bother a saintly person to get blessings for material enjoyment. Generally, householders receive saintly persons to get their blessings, but their real aim is to become happy in the material world. Asking such material benedictions is not recommended in the Shastras. End of purport. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bodhale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I humbly seek the blessings of all assembled Vaishnavas, and thank you for the opportunity to read and summarize from Srimad Bhagavatam today, my own purification. I'll try to summarize based on Srila Prabhupada's purport and one lecture I heard on this topic from a senior devotee. And please forgive if I add my own interpretation to the summary. So we are in this end of Canto 4, and we are in this chapter 31 titled Narada Instructs the Prachetas. So we are seeing in this context how the Prachetas are receiving Narada Muni, who appeared in the assembly of the Prachetas. So the text 5, as we can see from like the translation, we see how Prachetas are addressing the great sage Narada, and they are welcoming him with a very, very obedient and submissive attitude. And they are glorifying first Narada Muni as to whether he had a comfortable journey coming to their place without any disturbances. And then they are also glorifying that they are so fortunate to be in Narada Muni's association, and then they're glorifying that Narada Muni is like a sun who, which basically removes darkness, and then, in other words, removes fear in people. So here we can see how, I mean, we have seen also other verses from Srimad Bhagavatam and different scriptures that basically this Krishna consciousness or the devotion or remembering Krishna is basically like sun for everyone, where when a sun appears, then there is no darkness of fear. Prabhupada in the purport mentions that even in a great city like New York, people are afraid in the dark because we don't know who exists in the dark, and people are afraid of that, and everyone is comfortable when there is sun. The first, the kind of the lesson that comes out of the first verse of text number 5 is that as long as we remember Krishna, then we should not be afraid. And again, remembering Krishna and his representative like a spiritual master is non-different because they dispel the darkness. And we also sing every day the Ajnana Timirandasya verse, which is also very similar, where we say the spiritual master is getting the disciple out of illusion and darkness and imparting the knowledge with which one can connect to Krishna. So another point that came to my mind is here that in text 5, talking about fear, Prabhupada, although we hear from all the scriptures that we should not have fear, we will not have fear when we remember Krishna. But also Prabhupada mentioned several times that fear also has its place in Krishna consciousness. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada said that we are not fearful enough of Maya. And we can see that exactly happening in the next verse, text number 6, where Prachitas are saying that, we, O Master, may we inform you that because of our being overly attached to family affairs, we almost forgot the instructions we received from Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. So this is kind of the very important, or the most important point that comes out of this section, that even, Prachetas, as we know, they initially had audience with Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva, let's even back up. So initially, the Prachetas were very, very obedient sons of their father. And then as soon as their father told them that, okay, so you're ready for marriage, so why don't you go perform some austerities to purify yourself? So they were very obedient. They went following the instructions. And then because they were following the instructions and they had the desire to perform austerities, then Lord Shiva, representative of the Supreme Lord, appeared and then gave them the instructions, and then the Rudra Gita to chant. And because they followed that regularly, and then the Lord Shiva had told them that if you follow this, then you will get all the blessings from the Supreme Lord. And to keep up that word, Lord Vishnu appeared at the end of their performing austerities, and then he blessed them further, saying, you will get what you desired. And at the end of their meeting, the Prachetas realized that they want not any material desires to be fulfilled, but more of a spiritual desire, that they should always stay in the association of the Vaishnavas. And then Lord Vishnu blessed them, saying, yes, you go perform your duties for millions of years, and then you will come to devotional service. And then, as promised, Narada Muni now is appearing and is acting as the direct representative of the Supreme Lord, and giving them the perfect knowledge by which they can go back to the Godhead. So although, until the point that they met Narada Muni, we can see that although they had met Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu even before, they still were kind of lured by material desires, and they kind of uh, were not completely focused on devotional practices, and their priorities were different. So this is a very important lesson, in the sense that although we might think that we are in ISKCON, we are part of the association, and we are practicing every day, so we cannot think that we are always protected. When Maya is so powerful, we know Maya is also Krishna's energy, and any one loose opportunity is good enough for Maya to take us over. And although externally we might think we are dressing like a Vaishnava, we are behaving like a Vaishnava, but internally, if we have some still subtle desires that we want to fulfill and we enjoy, we have some subtle habits that we still hang on to, thinking that nobody will know, then that is not good for our practice, because that is good enough that we will derail from this path. Because it is said, nobody can hide the real intention from a guru and Krishna. So that is one lesson that comes out. And then we should remember always that Maya is very powerful, and that it can attack us anytime. And again, Krishna gives us hope in Bhagavad Gita. Although Maya is so powerful, but there is still hope. As we can see here in this pastime also, that even though Prachetas got derailed a little bit, just like even their father, Prachini Barhi, he also got derailed, thinking he's doing karma kandic activities per Veda, so he should be good. But he also got derailed from the actual intended path, and then Narada Muni appeared. So as long as we have the right intention and we have some effort put in, then Krishna will protect us and he'll send us representatives. Um, so that is what this pastime is revealing to us, that as long as we are under the shelter of the spiritual master and the Guru Parampara, we will go back to Godhead one day. But how quickly is depending on how eager we are and how focused we are and how streamlined we are in practicing the bhakti process. So, and also we can see in this pastime that Prachetas, initially when they met Lord Shiva, they were very surprised. They didn't expect Lord Shiva's appearance, and they were astonished. I mean, Prabhupada, or in the translation, it said they were astonished. And they did not exactly know how to receive Lord Shiva, but because they were brought up in a very etiquette family, so they at least had the thought to immediately offer obeisances in their from the sitting position. But now, if you look at how they're receiving Narada Muni, it is very interesting that they are more refined now, in the sense that as soon as they were in meditation, and as soon as Narada Muni appeared, immediately they got up, and uh, uh, then did a dandavat, offered obeisances, and it said in the purport they perpendicularly offer respects. So this is one subtle difference, that they knew that they had to get up, offer respects, and then do a Shashtang Namaskar, or like a Dandavat Namaskar. So this is, I was just thinking that even some of us might have gone through different phases in Bhakti. Like initially, when we met our spiritual master for the first time, probably we did not receive him or respect him the right way because we didn't know the etiquette. But as time goes on, then we know, and then we have more reverence to the parampara, and then we offer respects with in a more proper way. So that's the kind of the process of bhakti that kind of makes you more mature as we go on, and we see that in Prachita's case also. So in kind of summary, again, as we are in this Kali Yuga, in this human form, we should be so fortunate that we have this opportunity to take up to this process of chanting that directly gives us this Krishna Prem, which is kind of the topmost mellow in devotional service. And one just other pastime comes to my mind now, that when Lord Chaitanya was also planning to go to the South India tour, he wanted to go alone, and he wanted Nityananda and other associates to stay in the Puri area to just preach, and he wanted to just go by himself. But then Lord Nityananda requested that they send him, they send with him a servant, and the servant's name was Kala Krishna Das. So Kala Krishna Das was his personal servant, and then he was always with Lord Chaitanya. But then there were some people who did not like Lord Chaitanya, so they wanted to at least separate this Kala Krishna Das from him. So they kind of seduced him with some women, and then Kala Krishna Das almost fell down. He quit Lord Chaitanya's association, and then he went away. And then Lord Chaitanya had to go and get him personally. And again, we can see a couple of things from this pastime, that how again powerful Maya is. Even closest associate of Lord Chaitanya, because he gave some attention to that allurement, he immediately got dragged down. And then again, we also see how Lord Chaitanya was so merciful that he will not forsake his devotee. So he went and personally got him back. So again, this process works. This process is like proven, and we have several proofs and evidences from scriptures that once we perform devotional service, we are under the shelter of the Supreme Lord. But again, how fast we go back, it depends on how much intention we have and how much focus we have in this process. And we have to remember that even, I mean, this human birth is coveted by even the demigods, and a birth in this material world is also very much coveted by the demigods, because a birth in this time and age of Kali Yuga is very fortunate, because just by chanting of the holy names, one can go back home, back to Godhead. But just that, we have to depend on the mercy, we have to endeavor, and then we have to endeavor with the right mood. So we have a very shortcut path from Lord Chaitanya by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is the direct elevator to Krishna Loka. But again, this pastime is reminding us, this section is reminding us that we should be very watchful of the subtle desires and subtle habits we may have, thinking nobody will notice or nobody will know. But we should just remember that Krishna and Guru is not oblivious to anything that we do, and we should try to be always trying to remember Krishna and in the association of devotees, and hearing about Krishna as much as possible. With that, I'd like to stop.